Sasha Thackaberry-Voinovich, thank you for joining us on EdTech Mentors. It's great to have you.
I am super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So let's start a little bit of an introduction. I know that you've had quite a career so far already as a leader in online education, Louisiana State University, Southern New Hampshire University, a spell at Pearson. You also ran SkillsWave. What of those things, or where along the way did you wake up and say, I want to start a university?
Well, interestingly, I started just thinking about it sort of last fall, maybe a year ago, was an idea, right? So it started as an idea, but I actually think that I've been thinking about it for a decade. I just didn't know I was thinking about it for a decade. I have worked in a lot of different educational environments. I actually started my career way back in the day in K-12 and then curriculum design, instructional design. And just from a systems perspective, there's a lot of things that really prevent higher education from being more effective and less expensive. And someone wrote on LinkedIn today, they were like, she just woke up one day and decided to start a university. And I think that's how all big ideas start. Somebody wakes up one day and decides to do the thing, right?
Absolutely. But you're talking about a radically affordable approach to upskilling, right? That's kind of where I feel like that's where I'm reading a lot of the differentiation. How does your vision directly address the needs of a middle-class person seeking these high-value skills and then doing that without significant debt?
Well, I actually have a lot of friends who do have significant debt still, decades after they graduated, which is a problem. You know, debt can be life-altering, right? So there is debt that prevents people from buying houses and from having children in some cases, or delaying having families because of just the amount of debt folks are in. But at the same time, we've already started seeing huge disruption because of AI in the workforce, and more to come. And we've never had to learn faster before, right? So the pace of learning has got to speed up. And it just is unsustainable at the current cost of higher education. So we really thought about it we started with a blank sheet. We thought, if you could construct an educational institution from the ground up in specific areas, right? Like, we're not training doctors or lawyers. There are no physical classrooms for our students. So if you could really leverage high value careers, how would you do that? And how low cost could you make it? Right. And probably 2-3 years ago, you couldn't legitimately do this because the cost of the infrastructure would have been too high. But with some of the consumer tech now, and really with AI, we're able to do that. I mean, college for $300 a month, stackable certificates into degrees, that's sort of a game changer. And that's a thing that we're really proud of, excited of, intimidated by, all the feels.
Well, and I think I saw at least one of the posts that you might be referring to on LinkedIn this morning, where a young woman had just completed one of your courses, and I was like, wait a minute, didn't this just start in July? And she's already through her first course. Like, can you talk a little bit about this was a working professional. This is somebody that's doesn't have a lot of time on her hands. What do you think is behind the ability to efficiently get through an entire course in really probably under a month from the time?
Yes. And she actually provided us with some great feedback. You have to get your first people in there and really get that more authentic user experience, so you know what's working, what's not working. I think some of it is the motivation, right? Which I can't take credit for. Individuals who are taking it upon themselves to get this education, especially in the AI space, they see the need, they know it's real, and they want to go continue learning. The thing that's a little bit different for us is that for what's essentially a professional development price point, it's actually 4 credit certificates leading to degrees, which is a little bit different, but you can also start any day of the week. Our part of our central thesis, in terms of being able to support the middle class, was that everything else in our lives is essentially on demand, right? I can actually get prescriptions from my pharmacy on demand. I ordered up my prescriptions on Amazon and they're showing up today, like a day later, right? You can buy a car on your phone. You can get a mortgage on your phone. But to get admitted to college, it takes days, in some cases weeks, in some cases months. So our model is truly start any day. You can come, submit your materials, get provisionally accepted, and get started the same day. So someone can truly flex it to make it work for them. And we do give them friendly little nudges. If someone can log in, make it a habit, log in even a few minutes a day, that makes a difference. It adds up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. You're just turning it into an on-demand solution that takes a lot of the complexity away.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of costs that don't exist when you do that, right? So when we talk to folks about how were we able to stand up a university, like even financially, were we able to do this? Yeah, we're extracting just a huge amount of administrative cost by not doing federal financial aid, by not doing loans, by admitting people by not scheduling classes. There is just a huge amount of red tape and administrative functions that we don't need.
Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, you've had to, there's traditional elements that you've had to either choose to eliminate or to streamline, right? You gave great examples of the elimination side, but you're also getting people through more quickly. And I know that you've got a background in competency-based education. That's where you did your PhD. So I feel like, the people that are taking these courses are superhuman, which is awesome. Or it's a combination of the fact that they're really motivated, to your point, and you've taken a lot of friction away, both from the enrolling, but also in the actual teaching. Talk a little bit about what you had to streamline as well in order to kind of help people reasonably get through at this kind of faster pace.
Right. So and it's interesting too, because as we're looking at the patterns for how people are engaging with the courses, they're actually different than I would have predicted. So It's so important to look at data and learn from data and what is actually happening. I think part of it, so I had done a lot of looking at what competency-based models, where had they not worked, right? Like what has fallen down? Obviously, we all know of Western Governors, WGU. This is their DNA, right? CBE is their DNA. We were going for something a little bit different from that, but we had also looked into what had happened with some other experiments and what's going on really well with CBE programs in different places. And so our instructional model is somewhat gated. You can proceed as fast as you can, but before you get to the final project, which is a very sort of substantive, meaty project, you have to sort of pass several multiple choice tests. So it's training you to do the thing before the thing is due at the end of the class. Because we had seen, if it's just project based, sometimes folks just try to throw projects over the wall. So this has folks proceeding methodically. And what we saw is, and what we're seeing in the courses is, people are proceeding step by step. I would have thought we had more people who sort of skip. They're accelerating, but they are proceeding through the content in a methodical fashion. And then the other thing we're doing is we're actually putting student to student interaction on LinkedIn. So we don't have things like traditional discussion forums. We don't have like the forced march of group projects, which all adult learners truly, truly hate. Actually, maybe there's somebody special out there who loves them, but most people are not fans. And instead, we put individuals in a LinkedIn group. And so we're really trying to create a sense of professional community around what we're doing. And again, super early days, but I get the sense that we're really going to have a supportive environment in there. Every time we get a student, everybody's welcoming them. It's going to be fun. We have a series we call AI Unboxing, whereby we just show a new AI tool, like without a lot of preparation, just jumping into the tool. This is the thing I learned today. And sort of, because those tools move so fast, right? Some of the things I love today will be gone in 6 months. So you have to continually learn. So those are some things about the model that I think are different, and also nudge people along in a really friendly kind of way. Like we want to encourage your inner geek.
Right. I love it. So I think we've discussed how Newstate's intentionally defining itself, not just by what it is, but also by what it's not, right? And I wonder if you could help me kind of get my head around the idea of a distinction between Newstate and like a platform, right? A platform like Coursera, right? Like how do we think about that?
Right. So I would say the first thing is we're building a university, not a platform. And that's really important. We're not trying to be, I think trying to be an effective software developer is hard enough in and of itself. Trying to start a university, hard enough in and of itself. And when people try to do both at the same time, I just think it's extraordinarily challenging. However, in this case, like some of the consumer-based platforms or the B2B that have different types of or curated learning from different providers, I think that absolutely has its space. What we were trying to define, though, is something that's deeper than that, something that bridges this gap between workforce skill development and higher education in a way that is truly debt-free. So something that can scale, but be super effective, be super nimble. We're even thinking about things like, so our course inventory, what is the minimum number of effective courses that we can have to really launch and maintain an effective university? Because things just move so fast. You can't update 1,500 courses in a cost sustainable way at the affordability that we're trying to get to. You know, we're not going to be Harvard, right? Our goal is also, though, not to be Southern New Hampshire University or WGU, great institutions, but we want to facilitate education with zero debt. We want it to be affordable, like all of the other subscriptions in your world. And so we do have to do things differently, but we don't want to see completion rates that are in the 10% or the 20%, right? Like we want that this is truly short courses, everything from a short course all the way through a master's degree. We want people to be able to take in a way in which their learning is impactful for their current or future job. Like that is the whole point, is ROI for learners, and also, you know, win-win ROI for employers.
Right. No, it's a good point. There's a real balanced approach that you're bringing to this. As I keep thinking about sort of the differentiation points, where do you see a critical middle ground that Newstate occupies between self-paced online courses, then traditional degrees, specifically in terms of providing real faculty, a network community, structured pathways? Just curious if you can kind of help navigate some of that.
Yep, absolutely. So faculty was really important. We like the real life humans, and we've had some amazing faculty since the genesis of this idea. Couple of really adventurous folks who were really like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to, create an entirely different model that's going to work for a lot of people. Our faculty have been involved in the design and development process. We also leverage AI deeply for that. They assess all of our projects. They participate in our community that we're building on LinkedIn. They do interviews with guests in the field, so we're able to really bring in outside voices as well. And our faculty have these networks where they're able to get movers and shakers in and do interviews. So yes, faculty, absolutely very important to our model. Also, I would say some of the choice constraint is important to our model as well. We don't have electives. That's not a thing that we do. We have a structured pathway that people take. You pick your degree and you proceed accordingly. I can barely make a choice as to to feed my children for dinner. The last thing we need to do is have more choices. So there's that choice piece at the beginning. We obviously take transfer credit. We also will accept other credentials. So credentials from places like, product school or PMI or SHRM, those are all credentials of value, and we're happy to take those. We truly do believe that all learning counts, and that should progress you towards your degree. But in terms of structure, it is structured, and there is a great deal of flexibility within that structure. So you get to decide your pace, in some cases, the focus of your projects, but the core part of competency-based education is you have to do the thing, right? Like you have to be able to do the thing to progress. And while we do provide letter grades, it is all of our students have to be at a proficiency level, a minimum proficiency level, or an excellence in proficiency level. And then they proceed to the next course. And if not, it's lather, rinse, repeat, right?
So, as you know, Barry Weiss and others started this new university.
I'm such a fangirl. Okay, I'm sorry, continue.
Well, but I mean, I have to draw the parallels in that she just helps launch a new university, the University of Austin. And I'm sure that was a long time coming, and it took a lot to get moving. I think it's still very early days, but they've garnered some attention for an innovative approach to integrating liberal arts with practical skills. How does Newstate's model resonate with or diverge from a University of Austin? Like, I mean, I get that you're doing you're offering actually more of the skills-based approach here, but maybe give us a little bit of a parallel. Where do you see the complement? See the differences?
So, this is probably the moment at which I should divulge, rather, that I come from a theatrical family. So I've always considered myself to be a member of the creative class, right? My mother is a costume designer, my father a director. They're both actors. They ran a professional theater for years and years, have worked professionally all over the place. I actually met my husband when he was in a show with my father. And I say all that to say, I cannot tell you the number of times a little bit of Shakespeare has come up in a way in which was very productive. And I want everyone to have a little bit of Shakespeare in their lives. Now, if you're an adult looking to finish a degree, you may or may not love Shakespeare, but when we teach history through context, right? We teach psychology through context. So when we teach psychology, it's not just psychology, it's the psychology of decisions and how power structures work in organizations. I think what the University of Austin, if I understand their mission, which I would love for my daughter to actually apply there, they are really deeply looking at the liberal arts and being able to have free and open discourse in a very productive way to allow people to change their minds, influence others, hone their own understanding of the world, and definitely not pick a side. That's one of the things that we're not doing here at Newstate is we want to support all people, because it is hard to focus on the world of the mind and, you know, your life creatively, if you feel like you can't take care of your family very well, or you feel like you're stuck in a certain place, the focus of that university is very much traditionally aged students, and it is very place-based. So those students even live together, they, you know, learn together, which is a fantastic model if you don't need to pay the bills, right? It's perfect time in someone's life. Developing young adults, absolutely the time to do those things and have those experiences. For us, we're really focusing on people who need career outcomes and need career outcomes sooner rather than later. So while, and also I just have to say, like, I love the idea of starting new universities, period, right? Like, we have got to disrupt ourselves as really as an industry. It pushes all of us, right? So being on the edge, it's the outliers that push the middle of the bell curve, right? And I think it'll help everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think as you talk about this, it makes me think that there's probably ways that as you develop this business model and this approach, you also thought, well, we could also just change this at this institution or at these types of institutions. Like, I mean, what are some, looking back at kind of now what you've built, and you've got a more efficient model, and it makes a lot of sense. But looking back at it, are there maybe some practical learnings that you feel like other institutions could take and run with and sort of make some improvements, even though it's going to be improvements over time and not starting over? Just curious about your take on that.
Yeah. So and this is again, not probably the most fun answer, but I do think that anything we can do to take steps out of the admittance and retention process, like, we just absolutely need to do that in higher ed, like automate as much as possible, but also question your own process while you're going through it, right? Like, one of the fundamental things is, do we need this step? Like, do we actually need this step? Or was this step created for one time some girl in 1970 got around this degree requirement because she did A, B, C, and D? And so since 1970, we have forced the rest of our student population to do this extra step, right? Like, just inject a lot more rigor to your own processes. Like, we should lean Six Sigma, like, the crap out of higher ed, and the experience for students would be so much better. I mean, why are they there, right? Most students go to college for career-based outcomes. They do. I mean, even if you're going to become like expert in, everybody always says, underwater basket weaving. Say you're going to become an expert in underwater basket weaving, you still want to be the underwater basket weaver that has a job at the end of it, right?
Right.
So still needs to be career relevant, and we just got to get rid of the gunk.
I mean, you're very career forward, if not career first, in your approach here. That's really clear to me. I guess for the wonkiness side of me, I want to ask about your approach to accreditation. Like, so,
yes,
totally get it. You're sort of leading first on the career connectedness and getting people, quite frankly, listening to the market and saying, oh, that's what you want here. Like, that's clear. But long-term vision, talk a little bit about the strategic approach to something like accreditation for Newstate.
So it's important to note at the beginning of any accreditation conversation that the first rule of accreditation is you do not talk about accreditation. And the second rule of accreditation process is you do not talk about accreditation. So I'm going to talk about quality processes.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to talk about.
That's fair.
Processes at institutions, quality processes require that you look at your own data, that you're rigorous about your approach to things, that you have a methodology. That methodology is documented. And at the end of this process, an external party is able to verify the quality and rigor of your processes, your learning outcomes, your students. I value that deeply. I think that is something that all new institutions, including Newstate University, should aspire to and should endeavor to begin the process of. Um, we are also seeking transfer and articulation agreements. So what we want to do for two reasons, really. One, because we do only teach the few things: business,
Right.
customer experience and marketing, project management, product management, and all of that with AI. We don't have a degree in psychology. Well, what if someone comes back, they like the competency-based education format, they decide psychology is really where they want to focus? I want a path for that student at another institution. And so we are creating articulation agreements. We have 3 already in place. We have another 3 that are in the works. I'm deeply grateful to those institutions for working with us on that to make sure that we have pathways for our students. The other thing that's important to note is we're operating in 9 states right now, right? So state authorization, reciprocity. So Sarah, you can only become a part of once you are accredited. That opens up 49 of the 50 states. California is always nice and special. So we have applied to California separately as well. But for students who may find us from those other states, we also want to provide recommendations for them, other places to go that have innovative or accelerated programs. But as someone who comes from, so my background, it's all over the place. K-12 and then EdTech, nonprofit EdTech for years, and then community college, Southern New Hampshire University, LSU, which is an R1 and a flagship, and then Pearson. All of these sort of different environments, I've always approached systematically from a quality perspective, because instructional design, basic tenets of instructional, you begin with the end in mind. What is the goal? Okay, let's back out the plan from there. Same true with any accreditation or quality process. What is the goal? How do we back it out? How do we make sure that we have the processes in place? Because accreditation is one piece of the puzzle. All new universities, including University of Austin, they are not accredited. They won't be for several more years. You have to have students going through your programs to gather data on them to get accreditation. But yeah, so do I believe in accreditation? Absolutely. Do we have additional mechanisms for providing our students with options? Also, absolutely. And that's not something new institutions need to do. That's something that I think we absolutely should do. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I love hearing that. I guess what I'm wondering about is students completing right over time. I know that a lot of the self-paced course scenarios for online learning have historically had challenges. So wondering about what measures you put in place to ensure that this experience that students are getting is going to be something that they're going to want to complete, they're going to be compelled to, that they're going to be supported the right ways through. Especially given the fact that, we are talking about a lot of people that even if they're out of work, they've got other things that are going on in their lives that are going to be, these are adults moving through life and through challenges. So they can't be 100% of their time. So we just talk a little bit about those types of measures or supports you have in place for students.
Yep, absolutely. So first and foremost, I think that the community piece is really important and the relevance of it, right? So when I was at LSU, my husband actually has a degree, LSU Shreveport Online. His MBA is from there. And they have an amazing Facebook group of students who are constantly trading notes about classes and, congratulating each other for making it through accounting, or, saying, after, 4 years, I'm finally ready to graduate with my MBA. And that is the experience that I want all of us to have, right? So I feel like I'm learning from the people who are in our programs as well, students of life or students for life. And that community is what is going to get people through, right? That now we have the online learning environment, nudge friendly, And you know that, so there are some things that you can do with technology to encourage folks along, but I really think it's going to be the career relevance and the community behind the career relevance that's going to matter. And we put that right on LinkedIn because we want people to engage with it. And LinkedIn, you know, they have their own magic for keeping people engaged. I used to say that I'm not on social media very much until I realized that LinkedIn is literally up all day on a screen. Like I read way too much on LinkedIn. It is, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do when you're there and when you're finding value in it. And that's what we want for our students. You know, some are going to come and it's going to be fast and they're going to accelerate. And some others, you know, it's going to take them longer, but the subscription is monthly. So if someone needs to stop out because a parent gets sick and they need to stop out for 2 months, guess what? Their same course is still waiting for them. They don't have to reconfigure their schedule. They don't have to wait another year for that specific course that they need to be available because every course is available, right? Yeah. So the model itself is way more flexible and supportive, but I think it's the community that's gonna have value for people.
Yeah, it sounds a lot easier to manage my subscription to Newstate than it is for me to manage my subscription to Netflix, you know?
Yes. Well, it's a good thing that we have to be clear about such things. Also, it's important to note at this part of the conversation, I'm probably one of the thriftiest people that you will ever meet, Darin. Like I believe if you watch the small things, the large things take care of themselves, right? Like right. I don't believe in debt personally, and I don't want other people to have debt either because it is a life stressor, right? And so when we look at things, you can have a system that's good for your students and makes a sustainable business model. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, you're convincing me. I think it's really exciting. It's why I wanted to talk to you. I think so where you're sitting now, it's always hard to answer the future question, but I've got to ask you, where do you see the institution in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of the impact you hope it's going to achieve?
Yeah. So first, I actually had a great conversation with this just amazing gentleman a few weeks ago who said your first 100 students is going to be your hardest, and then your first 1,000. And then like the flywheel got started. So I have some numbers in my brain for the next year of when I want to hit certain benchmarks, and we're just going to make that happen. That seems a little strange and maybe fantastical, but you start with the end in mind and you work backwards, right? Some of this is just math. So literally in 5 years, I want to have impacted hundreds of thousands of students. I think it's absolutely doable. I want to be international as well as domestic. So I think there's a huge market in the US, but there's also demand in other places for an affordable model like this, right? This is truly accessible model. And the technology now is amazing. Like you can translate that. It's incredible. If you had dropped yourself into 2025, into like AI world from 20 years ago, you like mind blown, right? And we're just gonna see more things. The thing that's I think it really important is to get there, to actually have that sort of impact and have that many graduates and have people to have workforce impact. The whole point of this is better jobs. It's the whole point, better jobs. And nobody can take care of you as well as you can take care of you. Better jobs. But in order to do that, we have to stay focused, right? And so I think that's something that is super important, is constantly saying, is this the thing we need to be doing? Is this the thing we need to be doing, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm thinking now, part of my work is I work with startup founders creating all sorts of new products for higher ed. It's through my role as a higher ed coach with the Transcend Network. They offer a really cool fellowship program for startup founders. And so just thinking about them and their journey coming, there's 4 that I'm working with right now. I'm just in all different parts of the market. None of them are building a university. But what advice would you offer to others looking to disrupt traditional models and create more accessible, effective, and debt-free learning pathways for working adults?
So the first thing I would say is talk to as many people as possible in the space about what they think would work or not work with your model. Not to say you need to believe any of that feedback. In fact, probably half of it at least will not be necessarily fully germane, but you will get people to poke holes. It will make you better. And folks in our field, even if you like disagree with them, like I've absolutely gotten feedback where I was like, well, they just don't get it. But I have learned so much, and people have been so generous with their time, like just amazingly kind and truly wanting people in the field to succeed. And I would say take advantage of that, have the conversations, get people to poke holes. Remember, I had this very frustrating conversation with someone. It was like, oh, this person is just not getting it. But they said this one thing. And I was like, this whole frustrating conversation, totally worth it. Like, this guy was spot on. I had not considered that thing. That thing was so valuable. And that's a gift, right? That person did not need to talk to me. That hour of their time was a gift to me. So I would say go seek out people who are willing to talk to you, to poke holes in things. And because the generosity of spirit has just, even when people are like, she is crazy, even when that happens, that's fine. I'm not dissuaded. I will take that label, and that I will take that label proudly. Crazy women get a lot of stuff done. But it is a gift of people's time. I'd say take it, use it, do it.
Yeah. No, I think that makes, that resonates a lot with me. And I feel like in the industry itself, we have to remember who you're talking to. If you're talking to somebody in higher education, they're educators, right? They actually want to help you. They actually, there's an instinct, regardless of what their point of view is, their instinct is to teach. And so I think it's a lost opportunity if you don't really double down and try and understand multiple perspectives in this space. You've clearly like hit it out of the park. I'm excited about this. But this has really been a super insightful conversation. We've covered a lot of ground, but is there anything we didn't cover that we should still?
I honestly, I could talk about this like for 15 hours. I'm so excited about it. So we better pack it in while we can, Darin, but I just really appreciate your time as well. And yeah, I mean, this thing is all about hard work, but also smarter work, right?
Right.
This is more feasible now than ever before.
It sure feels like it. I'm going to go back and look at your courses available. I've got 2 adult sons that are really inquisitive, and my wife and I both love learning. So we're going to go take a look at Newstate, see what's up.
And you know what we're about to launch is our non-credit store. So we're going to have a non-credit storefront where people can take, again, they're longer form. So they're, a minimum of 30 hours in what we call a micro course, but all of those stack right into our pathways too. Non-credit through credit, building the dream.
When is that releasing?
So I'm going to say 2 to 3 weeks. We still have a couple of integrations that we have to work out.
Okay. Fair enough. Maybe by the time this is out.
Actually, yes, potentially by the time this is out.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well,
newstateu.com. I should say that, right? Newstate.
You should.
University.
We'll plug it all over.
Okay.
For sure. But Sasha Thackaberry-Voinovich, thank you so much for taking the time to introduce us to Newstate University. And I wish you the best of luck. This is a wonderful venture.
Thank you, Darin, for having me.